All right, let's run through our intro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, week 12 of all the factors. Welcome everyone. We appreciate you joining us. We are we're
Thank you.
talking
That's very
about.
sweet. I'll hold on to that when we get like viewers and people call me like a stupid bitch all the time. That sort of shit.
Why am I the face? Hey, listen, I've been saying to get it going, but hey, this is what it is. We're slow running. This is only week 12. Can we have like a year to get this? We're not professionals.
No.
Wha-
Yeah, I mean,
at all.
two people in the world who need a year to get something together,
Let-
probably, yeah.
just to
I
get this
would, yeah.
started took us how
Yeah.
many years?
Five.
Five minimum.
Five.
Minimum. So
Yeah.
this is we're at light speed here. Just in just 12 weeks, we're at light speed here. But anyways, let's get the show going. We are already 30 minutes late. We're already 30 minutes late, so we have a lot to get to.
Yeah.
Week 12 of all the factors. We have a bunch of superheroes this week that are joining us that we're going to talk about their rescue plans for America. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they are doing the work of
Dare I
comic
say,
book.
making us great again.
They're yes, they've been literally written into comic books. That's how good they are. So we have Elon Gettin, of course, we have to talk about that. That's like the Walking Day Batman, like a real life. Then we have Super Rubio, who's just been flying around South America from country to country and making deals happen. And then
I
when
mean, I will say Rubio can at least talk. Like, if I didn't know any better and I listened to Marco Rubio's talk, I'd be like, he knows what he's talking about.
well, I mean, I would assume
You
like
know,
spending half your life in Senate will do that for you. At least you've
not
been
all
media
of them
trained.
have that. Not all of them have that ability, though.
We just saw Mitch McConnell trip on one set of stairs.
The thing
Brother,
with
can
that
we
is he
like
falls so often. It's like it's not news. Like, just let me know when he.
the boy just is a cyborg. Elon is turning him into a cyborg. He malfunctions. Just just doesn't just the switch gets turned off. Hey, we shouldn't be making
Perhaps
fun of
it's
elderly
old.
people, man.
Let him like retire.
Like just
Mitch,
go.
retire.
Like just
No, you
go.
don't have to
Yeah.
serve out your term. It's fine. Somebody will get appointed, and
Yeah.
then there'll be a nice special election. Because I mean,
We
he's
already
only
have
got
it
what
three
four?
happening.
He's got 4 years left, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's too much. That's too many years. That's far
Don't
too
think he's
many.
making that far. Anyways, Elon Gedden was attacked by the evil leftists and
The radical
the
left
radical,
trying to
the Red
tear
Army.
this absolute genius. What did Kennedy call him? Cousin of Einstein?
Cousin of
Cousin?
Einstein, Einstein's cousin. That's
Smart
right.
enough to be Einstein's cousin or something like that.
You know that famous line in the Avengers movies where Captain America goes to Robert Downey Jr. and is like, "Take away the suit. What are you? Playboy, genius, billionaire, philanthropist." Yeah, that's Elon. Like, do you understand that?
That's how he views himself, yeah.
That is him. So Captain
No, you're
Kennedy
right.
obviously had to come to the rescue because he's
Well,
Captain
yeah.
America from Louisiana.
The yes, defender of all that is good and whatever.
Right. Did you read the comments of that video? They're great.
I that was the most disappointing part. And what particularly bothered me was
Cruel
everybody was like,
Americans.
I'm learning so much now. Like, it's nice to finally have a transparent government. It's like, babies, this is the first time you're paying attention to what they're doing. When was the last time you sat and watched like something that's happening in Congress? This is the first time. Of course, it seems like more like you think this is the first time these have ever been filmed? Like, no. Like, if you haven't been paying attention up until now, then yes, a whole world is opening up to you, but it's not because of Democrats. Whatever.
But anyways, so we're gonna go through some of the stuff. But big news: tariffs that happened for what, or didn't even happen because they got he signed them. Then there was a pause. Like like what
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
it's
how you
just a
want
joke.
to tackle tariffs. Well, I guess, are you just doing like an overview right now?
Yeah, well, so
All right,
I
yeah, I'll let you keep going. We'll talk about
okay,
it after.
okay. So I just I like Wall Street Journal. I think they do a good job. Not going into so much detail, but going into enough detail where you can walk away feeling like, oh, you know what, I understood some of that. Like I understand some of the even like what was even mentioned. So this video was just 3 days ago, when when the tariffs got placed and they got negotiated down. I think they do a good job. So I think I like the video and I wanted to just kind of share it. You obviously can't hear my audio, correct? Can I share this with you? Can I share my screen?
Well, see, oh, right. I won't. Well, will I be able to in Riverside?
That's I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try
All
it.
right.
I'm gonna try sharing my screen. Let's see. Also share audio. Yes. There you go. Um, you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm gonna play it, and you should have the audio. And I guess we don't need the CCs, so we'll talk about it
President
after.
Trump is
I can
slapping
hear it. Wow,
America's
exciting.
top three trading partners: Canada, Mexico, and China.
They owe us a lot of money, and I'm sure they're going to pay.
Trump is imposing a 25% tariff on nearly all goods from Canada and Mexico.
I'm sorry. Can I just one little quick thing? When did you show Trump talking right there? Why does he look like he just walked out of a fucking fresh batch of norovirus? Like he just norovirus attack. Like he just got it. Like he just got it. Sorry.
Just the
That's the
rarely
first thing I
killed
saw
Trump.
when I saw him. He's got
I mean,
norovirus.
it's fresh on your mind, so.
Right. Anyways.
And an additional 10% on imports from China. Mexico's president negotiated with Trump at the last minute, putting the tariffs on Mexico on hold for a month. Meanwhile, Canada is planning
Can you pause it
retaliation.
for a second?
Canada will be responding.
So, right, it's gonna get into it, but so Mexico basically agreed. Like this ended because Mexico agreed to something that Mexico has already agreed to, and
Wait. Pause it there. So they agreed to put 100. What was it? Like 10,000 troops or 100,000 troops?
I think it's 10,000.
I think it's 10,000 troops.
Yeah.
But they already have 15,000 troops there.
Right, as a part of something that was negotiated in 2021, so it's like they've been there, like. So.
Go on.
But my point is that so that happened. Trump, I guess, thinks it's a win, but also like speaks pretty highly of Claudia Scheinbaum, and all I can think is that he shares your powerful woman thing, except like for him they have to be conventionally attractive, and he just like cannot see her as anything but positive because she's hot.
I love her.
I mean, sure, how can you not?
Right.
For Trump, it's like he's just, I think he's like, if you're Trump and she's her, like they shouldn't get along, right? He should think negatively of her.
Yeah. It's the polar opposite.
He is, but
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, no, she's great. It's because he's blinded by her beauty. Like I swear, he's just so irrational about it.
Right. but that like this.
I mean, it's in
just
Mexico's favor. Like,
oh, 100%. 100%.
He's up at night like, oh man, I'm so glad I got to negotiate with that beautiful, beautiful woman. Sorry.
Just it's the Latina curse got to him.
And
But
that's
listen,
not to say that she's not incredibly qualified. I mean,
she is
some,
incredibly qualified.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like she swindled him, I'm sure, out of absolute just talent and tact and diplomacy.
Yeah.
But he will never realize that he got
swindled. He thinks he walked away as a winner. He think he impressed her.
He's like, yeah, I just had a nice meeting with a beautiful lady, and it
just,
it went my way as it tends to do.
It just happens. Like I'm just a walking, talking charisma bucket. Like, dude, just aura. Why he looks like he got attacked by norovirus just a second ago, but just aura. But hey, listen, it fits the Republican mold, the Make America Great like mold perfectly. It's like just a key to a lock that's just been sitting there, and people just been every Republican president has just ignored it, and Trump was just like, I am the Messiah, like I am here, to do it. So yeah, I I don't even know what to say about, like, I just don't even know what to say. Like I want to have like a serious conversation about like, this topic because it is a serious thing. Like these tariffs are no joke. These are no joke, and I don't know what will happen in 30 days. I think they're just gonna be like, well, let's just put it another 30 days. You know what I mean? I think that's just what will happen. Like, oh, they agreed to our demands of putting. They were already doing it, brother. Yeah. I think it's just like, oh, we signed it into law, but we're gonna keep delaying it because they're playing ball with us. No, brother, you just look dumb.
Right.
Which again, I like.
I mean, Canada did the same
best
thing.
alternative,
They
right?
agreed to what
A
they've
fentanyl
already
czar?
done.
What the fuck is the fentanyl czar?
With the addition of the fentanyl czar, whatever he's gonna do, which they only found that 70 pounds of fentanyl went across the border, which is like
70
a
pounds.
single human could carry that. Like, what are they looking for? They're looking for Dave in somewhere in the middle of Canada who's just like going across the border with fentanyl.
Do you know who the true winner of this whole tariff thing is?
Who?
Just take a guess of a country. Who do you think is the true winner of this tariff
I
thing?
hate when you make me guess. I don't
just
like to guess.
take a
It's
wild
like
guess.
A pop quiz.
There's only so many countries it could be. It's not Russia, obviously, because they're not fucking It's not Russia.
I said Nova Scotia. I said something.
Oh,
random,
Nova Scotia?
What?
No, that's Canada. Like what?
Whatever. I don't know. Just
It's
say
India.
It.
It's India.
Why? Because they're not getting tariffed.
No, because they're not getting tariffed. And guess what? But the country that brings in one of the highest amounts of fentanyl is India.
Yep.
And Mexico. Yes, Mexico, and it's through Mexico, but it's India.
Well.
Among the top 5 countries, and then nothing happened. If the focus, but it's just like my point isn't.
How much are they bringing in?
That already happened. You know what I mean? Like that already happened. My point is, if this is a fight against quote unquote to save the American people from this insane epidemic of fentanyl, yes, should not be fentanyl. That doesn't need to be said. It's just like that's an obvious thing. Like let's not even do that. But if this is a policy, if these tariffs are supposed to be about fighting the fentanyl war, you didn't do it.
No.
You stopped 70 pounds. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I don't. Whatever. I guess. I don't know what he was trying to get.
Right. So let's see what.
Unless it was just credit for something that was already done.
I think he's just impulsive. And we see it. Like me and you know what this is. This is just to demonize a certain subset of population, just to show strength against two of your neighbor, which is eventually gonna
so everybody in the comments
weaken you.
Can go, oh man, we're back. America's finally back.
Right, you're fighting with your neighbors. Literally the only 2 countries that the 2 biggest trading partners of yours. What are you doing? I would understand if the fight was against China. I would understand if the fight was against anywhere other on the fucking planet. I would understand that.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
10%.
Right.
And they don't even care. I don't think they're.
No,
they don't. A response.
I think there was. I think they're gonna do like a 25%, but like it's like, oh, we're gonna call them and then to see what they say back first before we implement this 10%. Like it's just stupid. It's just so stupid. It's just this impulsive thing.
We'll call you first. We'll talk about it.
Right, but it's just everything like that's the whole point.
Just been, let's do it, and then we're call it back.
Then we'll figure it out. Yeah. It's just, but that's what it is. It's the whole point of this is to demonize a subset of population so you can target them. So it's very like World War II tactics. Like that's just what it is. It's flat in the face, because if you look at the substance of any of this thing, and then to not even do it, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you're gonna do tariffs, but then you don't even do it. You know, it's just stupid.
Right. Anyways. I mean, it's a matter of like a day or two, and it's just not. And then it's not even a thing anymore. It's perpetually pushed back, like you said.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We'll see what happens in 30 days, which I have a feeling it's going to be the same thing over and over again. Anyways, let's see what Trudeau says.
With 25% tariffs.
Here's how Trump's new tariffs are different, and why many economists and politicians say you, the consumer, might have to pay the price. To measure the impact, let's look at the numbers. The U.S. imported roughly $893 billion worth of goods from Mexico and Canada in 2023. Nearly all of those imports will now have a 25% tariff, meaning if an American importer wants one of their goods, they'll have to pay that tariff to the U.S. government.
Consumers will likely notice this quite quickly in the cost of fresh produce at the grocery store.
Almost all of America's raspberry, strawberry, and avocado supply comes from Mexico, as well as most of the country's supply of beer and tequila and mezcal. On the other side, the U.S. gets about 80% of its frozen French fries, 70% of its lumber, and 60% of its maple syrup from Canada.
It's a really big deal because at the moment we really don't have tariffs on any goods coming from Mexico and Canada under the free trade agreements that we have in North America.
In fact, 99% of America's natural gas imports come from Canada. On February 1st, Trump announced a 10% tariff on Canada's energy products. Trump's tariffs risk pushing Mexico and Canada into recession, as both nations send 80% of their exports into the U.S. But Canada is planning precision strikes against U.S. exports, and the impact of that could be contrary to what Trump claims.
The tariffs are going to make us very rich and very strong.
Since Canada has a much smaller economy, it can't impose the same impact on the U.S. But Canada is betting that if it causes enough disruption, Trump, who campaigned on lowering prices after a period of elevated inflation, will back down.
Like the American tariffs, our response will also be far-reaching and include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon.
Mexico's president struck a deal with Trump for a one-month pause on U.S. tariffs on Mexico. In return, she agreed to deploy 10,000 Mexican soldiers to the border to fight fentanyl trafficking.
Y estoy segura que en este mes vamos a poder dar resultados, buenos resultados a su pueblo, buenos resultados al pueblo de México.
China also signaled that it's eager to get trade talks going with Trump, while it's unclear what will happen next. Experts say a trade war between the U.S. and its largest trading partners would hit U.S. income, hurt employment, and increase inflation. So if all of that is true, why is Trump so keen to use tariffs?
Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs, fentanyl, and everything else that have come into the country. And number three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of deficits.
I think most people do see Trump using these tariffs as a bargaining tool. He wants something out of Canada and Mexico.
The White House said the duties would remain in place until Mexico, Canada, and China stop fentanyl smuggling and illegal migration. But there are some industries that might benefit.
The U.S. steel industry and domestic aluminum producers have been asking Trump to raise more tariffs against imported steel and aluminum. They say Mexican factories have been dumping a lot of very low-cost steel and aluminum in the U.S. against commitments that Mexico has made over the years, and that those low-cost imports have undermined U.S. producers who have higher costs and forced them to idle or close factories.
It's unclear how long Trump plans to leave these tariffs on. Some experts say that decision will be the biggest measure of its impact.
If the companies feel that Trump is just leaving these on short term in order to, get something out of Canada and Mexico, they're not going to rip up their manufacturing footprint.
At the center of all of this is the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement.
Our own Wall Street Journal reporting has shown that some of Trump's aides say that he's actually pushing both Mexico and Canada to renegotiate the free trade agreement that we do have.
And these tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China might just be the beginning.
Eventually, we're going to put tariffs on chips. We're going to put tariffs on oil and gas. We're going to be putting tariffs on steel and aluminum and ultimately copper.
We also expect to see some confusion and probably delays at the borders. We could see goods backing up in warehouses as different trading partners try to sort through the new rules. So all of that is probably ahead in the coming days and weeks.
But thoughts? I have some.
I mean, it sounds like it's just going to cause a big mess.
Right. So if it's like okay, so if he doesn't do it permanently and he doesn't stick with it, then those companies are like, well, it's just a big fucking bluff, and every country around you is gonna go like, oh, it's a big fucking bluff.
Right.
And they're most likely, because they're so charitable, they're most likely gonna use this tariffs as an excuse to just raise anything anyways, which we will probably
Right.
see happen. And if he does do it permanently, then just the mention of steel, right? Like the steel workers, the steel companies want him to put tariffs on the steel so they don't get cheaper steel coming into the US, which means the price of steel will just skyrocket. And then if
Right.
companies do move in to bring production into the US, great, good thing that there's going to be US workers going to job. But doesn't mean it's going to be cheaper steel. It's going to be more expensive. So the consumers are going to get hurt. And
Yeah,
who the
on
fuck
the
are the
consumer
consumers?
side.
Everybody. We are the consumers.
Right.
The consumers are absolutely going to get screwed.
What happened to campaigning on prices will come down day one?
They won't.
What? No?
They won't.
Are you?
Well, wasn't
are
there
you
like
saying
a?
he lied?
Who could have seen that one coming?
What do you mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I just
exactly.
I just don't see this. Like I just don't see it happening. I don't. It just doesn't.
I don't see how someone could rationalize that the price of things would go down. I mean.
No, and like it's just like and then in his rallies he's talking about like, oh, we don't pay the tariff. You do. That's what a fucking tariff is.
Right.
That's
do. Absolutely how that works.
Who pays for it? It's like that fucking Schitt's Creek. It's a tax write-off.
Right.
What's a tax write-off? The tax write-off people.
Nobody
the tariff
pays
people.
For it. The government. I don't know. Yeah.
The tariff people pay for it.
Sure.
Who are the tariff people?
The
It's
tariff
just
people in the sky.
like it just doesn't make sense, and it just doesn't make sense. I don't know like how to like I it's just like I feel dumb like listening to this argument that they make. Like I don't know how to rationalize it like or at all like or logic my way through it. I just don't know. Like
Well, I guess some people see like a benefit of forcing the consumer to buy American. Like
no,
more
okay.
expensive, but
Right. But so okay, if you make the argument like, hey, if he comes out and he goes, I'm putting tariffs on every goddamn country and every little trade we do because I want the factories to come back to the U.S. so we can have American production here, but you have to realize that everything will be more expensive, right? Understandable.
Right. Yeah,
Get
if
that.
there's like an upfront, like this is why I'm doing it.
Right.
That would be different.
Makes sense.
It's not.
I could get behind it.
Yeah.
I could get behind that. Right. Hey, you know what? Everything's
Yeah,
going to
I
get
mean,
expensive, but this is what the American
valid.
people want.
I mean, getting like a disingenuous in general statements from the president isn't very, that's off-putting, I guess.
It just confuses the public even more,
right.
no? Because then like
especially when at the same time you're telling them everything's gonna go down, we're gonna bully the world, prices
right.
are gonna go down, and I'm gonna fix everything here. So
either again, and then this is the crazy thing about him, and this is what I don't get, right? This is what I don't get. Like either he's just such a con man and he's conned these people that he can say whatever he wants. And he knows it. He knows that he's doing the con, right? Like he knows he's doing it. That's one thing. Which I don't know. I don't know which one's worse. Or that he's just so fucking dumb, and that he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He just says things, which is more likely in my eyes, because he reads the room, right? He reads the room and he changes. Like he is good at that. He is good at seeing which way the wind is shifting, and he goes there. He is 100%. It's extreme deniability. I didn't say that. You just said it a minute ago. No, the fuck I didn't. Like, you know what I mean? It's that.
Right.
It's that.
Right.
But he's just great at that.
Confident in what you say and
yeah.
Like forcing that's what happened.
Unbelievable level of confidence. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's dumb, and certainly the people around him aren't dumb.
No,
It's not an
absolutely not.
administration full of idiots. I mean,
No, as much as
putting
you
that
like to
out
think so.
there, right? Exactly. I mean, pushing that kind of narrative, I guess, from the left, it's not going to serve us, and it's
No,
not going to do any good.
he is extremely underqualified for sure. He doesn't understand
Underqualified, absolutely. He
he
shouldn't
doesn't
be in this
understand.
role.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't think he Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
No, no. I think he just doesn't understand like what any of this is, and I think he's just. But he again,
Yeah.
he's the being the demagogue, right? Like he thinks he does know, and he knows more than everybody around him, so he refuses to listen to anybody. So it's just.
I think to your point of like there's things he doesn't know. He's not stupid, but there's a lot with government he doesn't know because this isn't where
Yes.
he's spent his career. I
Yeah.
always think it's funny when Trump learns like a new history fact.
Yeah.
Like, this past like 2 weeks he's been talking about McKinley. It's like,
Has he?
he
Okay.
never talked about McKinley before, but McKinley is known for instituting a lot of tariffs. Which I heard that he I don't know that much about McKinley. He's not one of the more popular.
No, he's not at all.
But eventually he also I believe he also regretted his own tariffs and walked them back. So I don't know, but
I think it's
like
because
he recently learned about McKinley and he's like, that was a great guy.
it's like at the start of the video where you're like the guy's watching Kennedy and then goes, "Oh my God, this is so great! Kennedy's exposing everything." It's like that. It's like that. Trump will watch like some fucking dumbass like Newsmax or Breitbart or Charlie Kirk and go, "Oh my God, that was a thing? So I was right. We have done this before and our country was great." And it fits the narrative right away, right? Like, oh, our country was great, and then we were doing these tariffs. Brother, that was the fucking 1800s. Like, you want to understand the fucking level of globalization wasn't a thing.
The robber baron era.
The Gilded fucking Age. You're talking about the Gilded Age.
All the stuff with the federal employees, all that that's been done before too. I mean, that's what the 50s were all about. I mean,
literally.
None of this is new and genius. We're just
You mean when child labor was a thing and people were just dying from pollution and the New York Hudson drinking water was shit?
Yeah.
You mean then? It just.
I mean, we know that child
It's
labor
painful.
is not off the table, so.
Remember when they thought Thatcher was the golden age? Oh yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah,
It should
but
be like the Easter egg of this podcast. Like we're gonna figure out a way to mention Thatcher. Very random,
is this gonna be like that Trump woman? I'm gonna have to do it. It's gonna come.
Every week.
It's gonna come. Trains are gonna come.
Impression.
Trains are gonna come.
We talk about Margaret Thatcher. We talk about trains. That's what all the factor is.
That's what all the factor is. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But should we switch a little bit gears here and actually go to somebody competent and somewhat competent, albeit?
Don't tell me you're talking about Elon. Or are you talking about Marco?
No. I'm talking about Super Marco, the fucking golden boy.
Okay.
I'm talking about the golden boy, the dude from Florida that's gonna fly away in just fucking red cape. There's a new Superman movie coming too. I think Marco would be a good pull it off. All right. We're not gonna do this whole thing. This video is way too long. I want to just what I want to focus with him is I don't want to really focus on Panama. I don't really want to focus on USAID. Oh no, the whole tariffs thing because I don't see it really going anywhere. What I really want to focus on is his conversation on USAID, and then we can shift into what we really want to talk about: the big kahuna, the big fish, the big man, the big man on campus.
Teaser.
So this is the teaser.
It's the Rubio teaser of.
Because he's just been assigned the assistant secretary for USAID. It falls under his purview.
Yeah,
which it already did, but anyways.
Authorization.
Yes, but it was under the State Department to begin with. So
was it? I didn't see that.
Yes, it was always under the State Department. It answered to the State Department.
I thought it was an independent agency.
No, it answered to Congress, the State Department, and the
Well, yeah,
president obviously.
Congress.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let me get to it. Okay, right here.
Oh, it's not playing in Riverside. It's just in your.
Oh, just on my side. Oh, okay, let me. Okay, I got. Yeah. Because screen Rubio. There we go. Sorry. There you go. Good. You can see it now.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And added that it is time for it to die. Do you agree with that?
Let me walk you through the history of this agency, because I've dealt with it for 14 years in the United States Senate. It was created.
What did he say? He's dealt with it for 14 years
14
as a
years.
United States Senator, so he has had fucking purview of the fucking agency and what's it been doing for 14 fucking years.
Right. If it's so.
Pin that in the fucking thing real quick.
Why didn't you bring this up?
14 years ago.
13 years ago, 14 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Let's just put a
Suddenly,
pin on that one real quick,
It's
just
the worst
so.
thing, yeah.
And here we go.
As a way of doing humanitarian assistance in the world, separate from the State Department at the time. But it said you have to take policy direction from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, the White House, and all elements of government. They have basically evolved into an agency that believes that they're not even a U.S. government agency, that they are a global charity, that they take the taxpayer money and they spend it as a global charity, irrespective of whether it is in the national interest or not in the national interest.
Who believes that?
No.
They get a budget, what, every year?
Yeah, I believe so. It's about 40 billion.
40 billion, which is less than 1% of the total budget, by the way.
Yes.
Less than 1% of the total U.S. budget.
Which
Who
will
believes
come majorly into play when we talked about Kennedy.
Right. But who believes his statement? This is the Secretary of State, a newly minted Secretary of State, inciting, again. He is a qualified person. He is a qualified person to be the Secretary of State. 100%. A fucking shitty one, but 100% qualified. He fits the resume. I'm sure he's a lawyer. He's been a senator for 14 years. I'm sure he's done public works before that. So he is read in on everything the USAID does, or State Department does, or the Defense Department does. I'm sure he's been in those committees. I'm sure he's been on every single hearing. So he's 100% qualified for that. But for the Secretary of the United States, Secretary of States, to go and shit on and flat out lie about something like
agency.
this on a United States agency,
right.
To say that they're no longer in his purview. How long have the Republicans have had the power in the Senate? Since Obama. Because they didn't lose the power during Joe Biden.
It's also not necessarily the job of an agency to push forward the agenda of a particular president. They're doing their jobs. The point of what they do
it's
is
a grant program.
Humanitarian aid throughout the world. It's not to push whatever Trump wants or whatever Biden wants or whatever Obama wanted. Like, it's their sole purpose is just to go out there. They deliver things like vaccines, food, and they study famine-prone areas, like
Ebola diseases.
Yes. As we go through it, we might find
some weirdo shit.
Some things that maybe we don't agree with. Which okay, so let's reform it. Let's do an audit. You don't have. I mean, I've talked about this before. I've been a social worker since I graduated. Been audited several times. Been working for programs that have been audited. You don't shut down the program to audit it. You come in, you audit it. People go about, and you can find them. You can restructure. You can fire people. You can hire new people. Set up new leadership. But where else are we just shutting things down and saying, oh, if we decide that something might be important, we'll let the State Department take it up and do that as like a singular project like this.
And Kennedy will answer it later on. And Kennedy's going to answer it later on why they're doing this, right? It's to fit the narrative. It's always to fit the narrative. It's
gross. Like
which is gross.
That's not like it's just not right, and it just is very authoritarian in nature.
Yes.
One of the most common complaints you will get if you go to embassies around the world from State Department officials and ambassadors and the like is USAID is not only not cooperative, they undermine the work that we're doing in that country.
There's no one fact check that.
Well, they're going to be uncooperative if you're going in there saying you're shutting them down and, you know, trying to get this, that, and the other thing. Like,
he's labeling that as a reason. No, he's labeling that as a reason why they're shutting it down. Because they are uncooperative with other.
I would guarantee that they're saying they're now, like, they're using this as, like, they're now being uncooperative with us, so we're gonna say that they're just uncooperative.
Right, but okay, but let's just even, like, take him to his word, right, that they are uncooperative. They have been uncooperative. Like, who are these ambassadors? Like, are they going, oh, I need $1 million because my wife got cancer and I want to give her treatment? That's not on the fucking USAID. Like that's just not like that. That's not them being uncooperative. That's just them being like, yeah, no, like that's not us.
No, I mean, I'd love to see an example if you know,
like bring the fucking receipts, dog.
Like, for example, it's not that hard, you know.
No, it's if you've gone through this, if you as a Secretary of State have proof of this, people have come up to you, other countries' ambassadors, other agencies, other NGOs around the world that are quote unquote are being undermined by USAID. Where is the? You could at least mention one.
Right.
Like, hey, this is an example where this happened. Like,
or
you can't just say that, because that's just propaganda.
Saying, like, yeah, no, we absolutely support the U.S. shutting down this agency because it's been nothing but a problem. You know, like, there's no reason why we shouldn't have heard from somebody by now.
Right.
Of their own accord on social media.
Literally. And it's been in place since Kennedy.
Yeah.
President Kennedy started this program.
Right.
So you're telling me how many Republicans have gone through this program? You've been in the fucking Senate for 14 years. Kennedy's been in the Senate for how many years? McConnell's been in the Senate since fucking George Washington. Like, like nobody was there, and they get it audited every year. Like, no, we're not gonna say, oh, they never get. No, they get audited every year. Their budget gets set every year.
Saying, like,
nobody mentioned it. Nobody mentioned the condom bombs.
You know, wasting money this whole time, then that's on you.
That's on you. The Republicans have had control of the Senate that reviews these things. The Oversight Committee reviews these things since 2010.
Yeah.
That's 14 years.
When we get to the Kennedy clip, I have some thoughts on, like, the specific things that they're saying.
That he mentions? Yeah.
They are supporting programs that upset the host government for whom we're trying to work with on a broader scale and so forth. So they're completely unresponsive. They just don't consider that they work for the U.S. They just think they're a global entity and that their master is the globe.
That word he just said, that it disrupts the host country. When we get to the Kennedy, that's really fucking important.
And not the United States. And that's not what the statute says, and that's not sustainable. President put a pause on all foreign aid. We found a lot of cooperation in the State Department, and we have issued dozens and dozens of waivers. As we go through all the foreign aid programs in the Department of State, the ones that make sense, we issue a waiver, they go back on. We've already done it for dozens of programs.
And you'll be issuing more waivers soon?
And we'll be doing so. For example, we did it today for some of the counter migrant flights that are going out of Panama. It's in our national interest to help them deport people that are headed towards the United States back to their home.
Are we for real now? Like, are we for real now? Oh, the programs that are helping us fucking deport?
The deportations.
We've let that one go. Like, so it doesn't fucking make sense. Like, none of what you're saying makes zero fucking sense.
No.
Oh, we're just gonna the deportation ones are okay. Those aren't fucking weirdo shits. Those aren't fucking, like, waste of money. Like, what do you mean?
Home countries. And we'll issue some here today in El Salvador because they do a lot of cooperation with us on stopping drugs and stopping migration and so forth. So we're going through it at the State Department, the State Department portion of foreign aid.
Imprison people in their country.
That's always the fucking positive. Yeah. Fits the narrative. It's always about the narrative. The narrative is that Latino people coming into the U.S. are evil people, and we need to get rid of them. So any agency that helps us do that, any kind of money that we can allocate for that program, we're going to use that. That's the whole fucking narrative.
Right. Shut it down, reallocate it.
And it kind of fits into what Ezra Klein at the New York Times, his video. I don't know if you watched that. I think I might have sent it to you. But what he said, right? Like it's and both things can be true. Both things are true at the same time. The president has a lot of power, but Congress controls the purse, right? Yes, they've astronomically let it go, and when we get to the Kennedy clip, you will that becomes abundantly clear that they've given up and how ineffective Congress has been for the last 4 years will go. It's longer than that, but 4 years
Yeah.
will go. Um, but the president has a lot of power, but he doesn't have what the kind of power that Trump actually wants for himself, right? It's the
Right.
president. Trump doesn't want to be the president. Like, and then we like people can listen to this, and then people can go like, "Oh, you're just fear mongering, or you're just like doing this. He's gonna be great." Well,
I mean, he's done several
we're gonna
things
see.
to reach for power, so.
We say this over and over again. I hope he is good for America. I hope he did. Has he? As he did, he's gone back on pretty much every single promise he's made for you, but
Right.
he wants to be the fucking God King. You guys want his jizz. We get it. Like, but and he wants to give it to you, but he wants to accumulate
I
as
mean, they
much.
do. I've seen people refer to Trump as a king like multiple
Daddy.
times.
No,
Like,
no,
it's
no.
crazy.
It's daddy. It's Daddy Trump.
Well, like comments from men being like,
Yeah.
oh, like, you know, being like, oh, he's not a king, like, and people like just men like responding like, yeah, he is. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like. What? Like, you wouldn't be ruled and subjugated? Like,
That's
by
awfully
medieval
gay, my
men?
boy. That seems a little sus. That's a little bit on the homosexual side. Hey, it's okay if that's how it is, but just
Right,
can we
like,
leave the trans people out of this though?
right,
Like,
we don't have to.
they're allies.
They didn't do anything to you. They haven't done
Right.
anything to anybody.
Live out your gay fantasies, please. Just live it out in
I
the
don't know.
open.
It
We
goes
will
to
help
my-
you.
It goes to
We-
my greater.
We
I
will
had,
help.
like, this idea that like men aren't like actually fit to lead, and I think this is.
Oh, okay, all right, listen. Hey, come on. Like, we don't have to shit on men all the time. Men are okay, all right? Men are all right.
You
They're not that bad.
You want to be led. You wanna be-
You want
You're
to be
just
led.
born to be a
That's
follower.
hey, pause. Hey, pause. Ain't nobody want to be led. Ain't nobody want to be led anywhere, all right?
All right. All right.
Dude, maybe Rubio does, but I definitely don't want to be led.
I mean, the way that they talk, it's just full like.
They just love the guy.
I'm subservient to this man. Like you're
Subservient
your
is
whole job
crazy.
is to be an advisor to him. Like, you're not like, okay, whatever. And then Congress, it's even worse. Like, you're meant to be co-equal to him. You're supposed to be a check on his power. That's the whole point. And you're just like, oh no, we'll just do whatever he says because he said it. Like,
How does it get to that point? Like they're just like so power hungry. Like, oh, if we don't support Trump, we don't win our election. It's
they
that,
don't want
right?
Elon to exactly. They don't want Elon to run a competitor against them and fully fund them, and then
Yeah,
you
and they
know
lose.
you can't compete with that.
No, you can't compete with that. You can't compete
Unless
with that.
we all,
You
as,
have no
like, a
leverage on him.
society, decide like,
Right?
oh, we're all gonna do like deep research on our candidates now. We're not just gonna rely on the first things we see on the TV
Twitter?
and social
On the
media,
fucking Nazi
Yeah.
hellscape, yeah.
which that's not gonna happen. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not, again, like, not to be overly like social worky and I guess excusing people's behavior, but it's like people are busy, they're stressed, they got shit to do. Like, most people don't find this stuff like that interesting, so it's like, you know, what do you want? Like, we should be able to just go to a news source and get like proper news, but we don't have that really.
We don't have that in America.
No.
But it's I think you sent it to me. I think you can't trust these big social medias because there are big news networks, right? It's just it
Yeah.
kind of gone down the
Bezos
hill.
owns the Post,
Yeah,
and he owns a lot of different newspapers.
he does. So many of them. And these big news networks, CNN, Fox, whatever. Like, well, Fox we already know. Uh,
Yeah, we know. Anything owned by
Same route.
Murdoch.
Yeah, like CNN kind of going down the same route. You know, they're just you listen
I mean,
to
the
it and you just
billionaires
can't
in
trust it.
general are all like putting their hands in all the little
Yeah, the
shit.
grubby little fucking fingers everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like fat fingers are just in there. Like,
Yeah.
in my fucking esophagus. Like, just
Like, please.
listen to this. Like, this is
Personal space, like,
right.
jeez.
There is none. There is none. They're fucking collecting data on my shit. You know what I mean? Like, so they're listening to me right now. But you know,
Yeah,
it's
they're
just
like,
stupid.
well, we'll have to put them on a list.
But it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. He has
Yeah.
way too much power. Should we go to Kennedy? You okay to go to Kennedy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's. Oh, my favorite Louisiana
Which is
man.
painful because I hate listening to Kennedy talk.
It's so bad.
I had to I put it on double speed.
It's so bad.
Still...
I don't want it.
Elon Musk.
Oh, look at him. He's just so tired of all this. All these.
I want to try to put in perspective what many of my Democratic friends have been talking about today.
Just incredulous.
They're very, very, very upset.
Very upset.
President Trump.
We're all just upset little babies.
And they're very, very, very upset at Elon Musk.
Oh my God! You gotta protect Elon. The sweet child.
Ran for president on a number of issues. One of the issues he ran on, he said it almost every day. He said, if you elect me president, I'm going to go through the entire budget and review all the spending, line by line. If I heard him say that once, I heard him say it 1,000 times. And that's what he's been doing. He went out and appointed, through an executive order, Elon Musk, who some people like him, some don't.
Which is crazy.
He's not a dummy.
If you do want to do this, you should appoint a committee of people. You can appoint a person to select a committee to do this, but we're gonna select one person who obviously has people working under him, but he gets to be the end all be all of what he's gonna recommend should be gutted.
This is your job, Kennedy.
Well, right. I mean, that aside, there has been larger governmental audits like this that have a special committee has undertaken before, but I don't think it was under the outside of the purview of Congress, first of all, and second, again, it was a full committee. It's not just one dude who got pulled out of thin air, just because he has a lot of money, who now gets to decide.
JFK was the president, yes.
Everything.
Yeah. There's this little fucking what's this thing called? The GAO, the Government Fucking Accountability Office. Where's that
at? John Kennedy is not related to JFK.
No.
He's just a random Kennedy.
Yeah.
The other Kennedys that we talk about are related.
the Health and Human Services, yes. Yeah, this Kennedy is not. Although I do believe that his name being Kennedy is probably why he won, because people probably think that he was related to the Kennedys.
It probably does help him.
I 100% does.
Louisiana, though, I don't know. It's a little far.
It's literally at the
Kennedys
bottom of the fucking education poll. It's got to be the fucking 48th state on education on Louisiana. Even though Tulane is there, and University of New Orleans is there,
right,
besides those two,
behemoths
very
holding
low.
them, and they just well, it's here in South Carolina, there's all this there's a lot of push for the voucher programs and ending the Department of Education. And it's you are 38th. What are we doing? Why are we pushing for it to get worse?
Yeah, but that's what it is, though. They make it worse. It's easier for the Republicans to get in because they can, no critical thinking. No, they're gonna fucking listen to Kennedy talk on a short little TikTok clip or on Instagram. Go wow, this guy really is doing it. The fucking Democrats are goddamn evil. Why do they care if the fucking But we need the monster raw dog out there. You know what I mean? It's just.
Well, yeah. I mean, listening to more of these Republicans just speak straight from their mouths. It's I can some of them.
I can see it.
Are pretty convincing. I mean,
very convincing.
Here, even this little speech that he's giving, I mean, if
Yeah.
you don't think about it, it's very convincing. I'd
Like-
be like, yeah, I do feel like that might be a waste of money, but it's like, but if you think about it for more than a second, it's like, well, A, he's not giving me any evidence. B, where's the context?
Yeah.
But I'll
No,
get
like
into
the
that
way he says it, the country elected Trump because he said it at one time. He must have said it 1,000 times that I'm gonna go through the budget line by line. A normal American that doesn't keep up with this shit, like, yeah, that seems like a reasonable thing. Like, we should go through the budget line by line, right? And then he goes, oh, through the executive order, we elected Elon. Elon's a brilliant fucking guy, the richest man in the fucking world. Yeah, he probably knows something about money. You didn't fucking elect a dickhead!
right. Well, exactly. He came out of nowhere. He was just chosen. Like,
He bought the fucking seat. Like,
he doesn't. Unelected people shouldn't have this sort of power.
You know who should have this fucking sort of power? This fucking moron that's on the TV. The oversight fucking committee. The hearing, or any kind of fucking agency that you talk about. Audit, independent fucking oversight committees. Like, the president, the office of management.
Like, if apparently if all of these programs have been so poorly audited this whole time, like, we got a lot of auditors to get rid of, do we not? Like,
right. But we should have gotten rid of those fucking auditors when the Pentagon hasn't passed the fucking audit since what, 2008?
Right. They just.
Where's that at, Kennedy?
They just lose like billions of dollars every year.
They've lost $1 trillion.
They're not even being like reviewed.
Because this is exempt. Because you know why they're being. Give it to them, Annette. Tell them why they're not going to be reviewed.
Because I mean that's all they really care about. They want to,
No. Why will Elon not review it? Why will Elon specifically not review it?
You and your pop quizzes. We don't have this. We're not on the same wavelengths with our brains. Go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Funding. He gets funding from the defense contracts.
Oh yeah, duh.
This is literally what he gets.
Right, yeah, they're using Starlink and all that sort of stuff.
The fucking what? The SpaceX? That's a defense. It's a rocket ship. That's defense funding. So we will not review that, but we will review. Let me get to this fucking beautiful.
Very successful. He's put together a Cracker Jack team.
Not the Cracker Jack team.
Not the Cracker Jack team.
And they're going through everybody's spending line by line.
Line by line.
So is a Cracker Jack team a good thing?
And my Democratic colleagues are very, very, very upset.
Very upset.
And they've been very eloquent. They've talked about the process and President Trump's executive order supposedly violates the Constitution.
I mean, this is smart what he's doing.
You dumb shit. It fucking does. Article 1 of the Constitution gives your dumbass the power of the purse. You fucking moron.
But this is smart what he's doing here, right? Because he's upholding the idea that Democrats are the the guardians of the status quo, of not wanting to change things, of keeping
against common sense,
corrupt the same that it is. So
yeah,
I mean, that's his play.
That's 100% the play. Anybody with a fucking high school diploma will see that.
Yeah.
That's why Oklahoma is the 50th, and they voted all red, and they got Trump Bibles.
Trump Bibles. They're the ones that.
I love the pause here. It's like he's about to pick his nose. I love it. This is the This is the best. This is the best time to pause. 6:04.
He's going for it.
He's going for it. Going for the biggest fucking booger, which he is. The fucking booger.
And they've accused Mr. Musk of having conflicts of interest, and I've heard people say he's sitting over there with a notepad, copying down everybody's process and debate whether it's constitutional, and discuss how many lawyers can dance on the head of a
Apparently,
pin.
we shouldn't do
They
that.
don't want to talk about.
We shouldn't check if something's constitutional or not. We should just let it ride.
Let a billionaire just fucking run through the just everything.
Their kids and try to save a little money for retirement. You're homeless with your But I'll tell you,
Take a
Mr.
nap,
Musk
Kennedy.
discovered.
Okay, here's it. This is what Mr. Musk has discovered. This is what Mr. Musk has discovered while going through the USAID.
All right, I'm ready. What did he
Brilliant. Entire time in Congress, he couldn't discover it. But when he was signing the goddamn checks, the fucking bills, the to fucking send all the audits, you know what I mean? Like just funding the shit out of that fucking agency. What he couldn't fucking discover. Let's see what Elonia fucking Musk has discovered. The first lady of the United States.
How could the Democrats do this after like shooting the guy?
I find it fascinating.
Fascinating.
He discovered that the American taxpayers are giving money.
Where are we giving money?
To Afghanistan.
Oh, not Afghanistan.
Not Afghanistan? Oh, you mean the country you fucking absolutely blew to smithereens? That one? How could we do that? Well, we just killed their entire population. But that's how much money we gave them.
He found that we are giving money to Yemen.
Oh, okay.
He found that we are giving money
like, sir, you should
to
have your
Syria.
notes organized beforehand.
To Syria, another country we fucking absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
Or
so far he's listed countries. I'm like, yeah, those are some that I would imagine would be on the list.
You mean Yemen, where there's malnutrition rampantly running through the fucking population, where our little tiny little fucking beautiful colony of Saudi Arabia is bombing the shit out constantly with U.S. built planes and missiles? You mean that little country? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. All right.
I want to hear
I didn't know
waiting
that.
for the numbers though, because
Yeah,
apparently
yeah.
blocking or getting rid of dismantling USAID is going to make up for like the tax deficit that the tax cuts are going to cause.
Right.
And it's
Billions.
it's going to help
Trillions.
fund or offset the the immigration expenses like we talked about earlier. So we got to be looking at some big numbers here. I mean,
It's got to be in the hundreds of billions, right?
I mean, somehow hundreds of billions is going to come out of the $40 billion budget of the USAID.
Right.
Sounds like magic to me, but I guess
But he's got to know.
He knows what he's doing.
He is a senator.
And and Elon Musk, of course, because he is a genius.
Some of our foreign aid is going to.
You mean Albert Einstein's cousin? That guy?
Yeah. What an arbitrary thing to say.
Yemen,
I bet he had some
Afghanistan,
dumb cousins.
Sure.
He found that the USAID has 10,000 people.
Yeah,
10,000
it's an agency that operates across the world. Like, they probably
The fuck you expect them to have 4 people?
Employees, dude. Like, how many staffers do you have just to organize your notes?
That's what I was literally gonna say. This is literally what I was gonna say. That little stand he has next to him, he needs another person to put the fucking thing on it. Does that person really need to be there to do that for you? A cardboard fucking piece of paper, you can't put it on yourself. Oh my god.
Sorry, I think that might be the waste, but
employees. And every year they give away $40 billion.
Okay.
Mr. Musk also found.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that all of this money is wasteful. I'm not.
All right. Okay.
Well, why won't you
Some of
say
this
which
money,
ones
I'm
are
sure,
and which
does
ones
some
aren't?
good. That's why Secretary Rubio is going to revamp the department.
The money's going to the fucking deporting planes. That's good money.
Department to separate the good from the bad.
Yep.
But this is the kind of stuff Mr. Musk found.
Okay.
He found that the USAID gave money to support electric vehicles in Vietnam. Our money, taxpayer money. He found that USAID gave money to a transgender clinic in India.
There it is.
I didn't know that. I bet you the American people didn't know that. He found that USAID gave $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBTQ group called Grupa.
Well, now it's that's just a list of different LGBTQ causes that it was given to, right? I mean, he's just going to go on and on. I think probably 9 out of the next 10 things he says have to do with LGBTQ.
It just fits the fucking narrative.
It's the narrative.
Just the narrative.
It's their agenda. They love to accuse, the woke left of having an agenda, but this is their agenda. And they want to push that, I guess, across the world. I don't know. I mean, it's just that and DEI. I mean, some of the things that he lists off are
it's just, you know what I mean? It's just done, right? Like, oh, you have a boss, a billionaire boss, a big giant fucking corporation who fires you to replace you with an H-1B visa worker because it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. And they can exploit him more, but then they convince you to fucking say, oh, it's the visa worker's fault, right? Your boss is fucking laughing on a golf course, drinking fucking martinis out of a fucking $1 million diamond glass. Yeah. But you're mad at the guy that's getting exploited because you got fired. But they do this shit. He goes on the fucking Senate floor to do this shit, to do this dumb shit, to convince people it's the transgenders that are coming after you.
Right.
That are coming after your children.
This is not like
and the Democrats are doing this, and they don't want you to find out.
Right. Like, let's say he's telling the complete truth, not a single lie. I mean, I didn't have time to fact check everything that he said. We found this today. I mean, that's part of the whole point of this whole like thing that we're doing. We're saying like we're not professionals. We don't work in politics. We have jobs, whatever. But like, if you take a second to think about it, like, okay, we're getting to a lot of LGBTQ causes around the world. Like, well, can we just take a second to honor the fact that there's several places around the world where being part of one of those communities is still a death sentence? Like, right. So why are we, like, he's saying, oh, some of them aren't wasteful, but he's basically alluding to the fact that everything that he's mentioning is wasteful. Anything DEI, anything LGBTQ is wasteful because it doesn't align with President Trump's agenda. Right. So he's basically, I mean, the point of this agency, as we said, is for humanitarian aid. It's offering humanitarian aid to people who need it, who happen to align with a certain, identity, and we're just going to call it waste. And we're just going to dismantle this whole system because some of the programs happen to go to LGBTQ people, and we would rather they just lay down and die, apparently. Like, okay. Like, it's just crazy.
And okay, and like, I'm going to say a fucking thing, and you're going to go like, oh, well, that's a lot of money. Yes, it's a lot of money, but what did he say? 1.5 million. 1.5 million dollars was sent to India for that transgender clinic. Mm-hmm. So total budget of a USAID, $40 billion. That's less than 1%. You take 1 million out of that. Right. The percentage is fucking. The Pentagon wouldn't even fucking bat an eye on that number. They wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, I'm sure it's around here somewhere.
They probably spend that on, like, soap or something.
Literally just fucking, like, nothing.
That won't even get you, like, one of those, like, parts of, like, the fucking, like... on a Black Hawk, the things that go around and around. I fucking can't remember the names of the parts of a helicopter, but
a fucking nut and bolt.
Won't even get you like one of those
rotor
pieces. Not even the whole thing.
The fucking rotor, like one flat or like one fan you're talking about, yeah.
One fan, sure.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's minuscule, and also like no context, so we don't know what it's doing. Like, okay, we're gonna label this transgender clinic. Like, well, what did these funds go to? Like, because if it went to maybe like just because it's a transgender clinic doesn't mean that these people aren't experiencing like AIDS or something like that. Like, did it go to something like that? Like, because that is again in our interest to support. And again, I hate this kind of having to boil down all of these arguments to like, oh, it's in our interest, it's in our economic interest, it's in our national security interest. Because like sometimes maybe we should just give a fuck about people, like God forbid, like
you're a person.
Same thing with all the immigration debate. Like we've with good hearts, I guess we've all been like you know, oh, like the economic benefits of this. Like, okay, but also like at the end, these are people. Like, why do we have to like argue with another person in front of us that another person like we should treat them like a person? Like, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, but this comes from the hardened Christians too. You know what I mean? So, love thy neighbor only goes if they're white.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Is Adaji. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies. Anyway, they got $1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business community. What else did Mr. Musk found that my colleagues don't want to talk about?
See?
Well,
when he says colleagues, he means Democrats.
He reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done by the Middle East Forum.
Mm-hmm.
They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world.
What does that mean?
We're not,
but what does that mean? What? How? What is it radical?
Talking Cub Scout troops here. We're talking about radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations.
Which ones?
Our taxpayers.
So if this is the case, let's review and reform it. Like, we have to figure out what happened, review and reform.
It's not a small amount of money.
It says at face value.
It's not a small amount of money, right? It's not a small amount of money. Sure, if that money went to a terrorist organization and it could have gone somewhere else, sure, we should review that. We should look at that.
Yeah, I mean, if they want
name one.
Well, right. I mean, I would like to see some evidence and then make the case that it needs to be dialed back. Like, say it's only going to be vaccines, food, and other like life-saving things. Like, okay, if that's what your administration wants to do with it because you're highly conservative, then that's a case to make. Just saying, oh, they're funding the DEI, the gays, the trans, the you know, like, that's just, you're just fear-mongering here. You're just trying to rile up your own base. We see it in the comments. Everybody's like, oh, finally, you know, thanking God for this man who's just probably straight up lying to them and at best just, what's it called, manipulating. Yeah.
Again, for those who don't know, USAID it's a grant loan type of fucking organization. You apply, I don't know if anybody's ever applied for a fucking grant. It's a long fucking process. They don't just go like then knock on the fucking embassy door to the USAID, be like, hey, give me some money, and they go like, sure, how much do you want, and just fucking chuck a wad of cash at you. It doesn't work like that. These organizations fucking work with NGOs around the fucking globe to help the fucking needy, brother. Like, can we just?
Sure it's not a perfect.
I don't know why.
No,
by no means.
Organizations aren't. I mean,
not at all.
CIA has done terrible things, like
terrible shit.
Done terrible things throughout the world. So it's like again, like this is the first time that we've just like seen something that isn't perfect, and we're just letting them be like, okay, crash it and move on. We'll put the money where we want instead.
It's all about that. It's about Donald Trump's play to gain more power, which is in line with fascist behavior, anti-democratic behavior. I need to be able to control every single facet of every single thing. I need to hold power because he realistically doesn't have the power. Because if he did, they wouldn't need to go through these fucking loophole shenanigans type of deals, right? Like they would just get the Congress together and just fucking bang it out. But they won't do that because like they won't do that. If they wanted, like, you know what I mean? Like they won't do it because it's unconstitutional because he doesn't have the power of the purse. Congress does. Congress has itself become so inept that they won't hold themselves accountable.
Here in front of us, like begging Elon Musk to take his own job away because he's basically saying, I've been incompetent. Why don't you do it instead?
Exactly.
I'll go home, I guess. I don't like, you know, they've never wanted to give up power before, but apparently now
it's okay.
Like they're basically pushing their jobs away. Like,
right.
Okay.
Right. 100%. 100%. And if that is not an issue for you, you really need to reevaluate like what you want this country to look like. Do you understand? Like the Democrats aren't out there fucking hollering like, "Hey, listen, like, they're not out there because they fucking hate the Republicans. No, the Democrats in Congress love to fucking work with the Republicans. They are buddies with these fucking guys. You understand that? Like when people say it's the same fucking coin, it's the same fucking coin. Like they're best friends with this guy.
Right. I mean, most of the nominees
He's shitting on
the
them.
cabinet have gotten Democratic votes. I mean, I don't think Fetterman has voted against a single.
No, he's a Republican.
Like,
I'm
what?
fucking waiting for it.
Like-
I'm literally waiting for it. Waiting for him to come out and be like, "Hey, I'm a Republican." I don't think I don't think Fetterman's winning another fucking election. I really hope fucking not. Like some actual person fucking.
happened.
What's he done for Pennsylvania? Nothing. All right, but back to the original fucking point. It's the power play, right? Like it's they're scared too because of Elon, who has so much leverage over them, right? He can physically just fund their campaign by themselves. But what these fucking douchebags are failing to realize is they are more powerful than him. They need to check him, but they won't because they're scared of a fucking billionaire, a man child,
Yeah.
oddly shaped, potato shaped man child who does Nazi salutes for fun. Like
He was oddly shaped, very.
and then the
top heavy.
like so I last week I had asked you a question, right? I was like, well, what do you think? So the their whole plan, their strategy isn't to fight the Democrats, it's to fight the media, right? Like they are fighting the Republican strategy is fight the media, keep bum rushing, keep bum rushing, keep bum rushing, keep bum rushing, right? I
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I think other people were talking about it too. I think Ezra Klein was one of them, and he's talking about it. And I think he mentioned something that really kind of sat with me. And I think the analogy, since the Super Bowl is this weekend, um, I'll use football as an example, right? The the Republican strategy is to put out, let's say you're on the football field, the Democrats on one side, the Republicans on one side, and they're each throwing, you know, policies at each other, right? Let's say, or newsworthy events at each other, right? The Republican strategy is, hey, we don't care what kind of news it is, we don't really give a shit about it is, like, just get it out there. So,
Yeah.
they're equal number of players on the field, but they are just throwing everything. So they've brought, and the Republicans have even brought
Yeah. We
more
haven't
people on
even
the
like
field.
scratched the surface of things
Right.
that have come up this week.
Right. So they've brought even more people on the field because they don't care. Like that's the whole that's the point with these Republican strategists. Like they don't care. They're just gonna do what they want to do, and then they bring it on, and then Congress isn't gonna stop them. The president obviously is on board with it, right? So what happens to the Democrat side? The Democrats just look weak, and they'll continue to look weak because they can't do the same thing, right? Because they just don't go there. One of two things happen. They either get scared and they join the Republicans, which happens a lot of times. So they're like, okay, well, we did what we could. We're just gonna sit here and take it, right? But what happens when that happens? And it's too much for normal people to focus. It's way too much for normal people to focus on, like, right? Because we could talk about tariffs. We're talking about today. I'm sure something is already happening in the news cycle as we've been discussing this.
Probably, yeah.
I'm sure something. I'm sure I could, go to the Washington Post or New York Times or something like that and refresh, and there'll be a news story within an hour. So that's the strategy, right? Like to do this. But how do you combat that? That's what I asked last week, and I think I've come to this point, right? I think what end up will happening, and it kind of ties back to what we talked about in the beginning too, is what's going to end up happening is so much shit is going to fly out of the Republican side. It's like just thousands of fucking spears, like the 300 movie. Like nobody, like it's going to cover the sun. The people that even fucking are saying that, they're not going to be able to even talk to each other because they're not going to be able to keep up with themselves, right? Like they're not going to know. Like there's just going to be so much confusion between, because when Elon took over the office of management, right? Like he just raided that office. It was a Trump employee. the assistant director of that office was a Trump employee. He was like, no, I'm not going to let you do this. This is not your fucking job. You are not authorized for this, right? The guy just quit. Probably got kicked out, whatever. You know what I mean? Either like you quit or you just like get fired. One or the other, right? Like that's what happened. So like there's going to be so many casualties on their own sides because of this shit that'll happen. They're going to even get confused. Like
I think it's interesting that we are seeing like quite a bit of that already, and I understand that it's, you know, you can't expect everyone to just kind of stand their ground, but I don't know. I've been reading On Tyranny, that book, and one of like the, you know, the 21 or 22 like I guess advisements for dealing with like authoritarian like government. One of them is like you know, adhere to like professional standards or whatever, like if you're gonna stay in your job, like don't roll over and don't quit your job. Like you know, like
fight back,
stay in and, you know, fight back. But we are seeing you know, we are seeing a decent amount of just kind of rolling over, and I mean that's to be expected. I mean, you know, you think of like your own job, like how much are you willing to take, you know, are you willing to like put yourself at like physical or like financial risk, you know, just to stand up to something so powerful. So it's hard, but it is just kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, I think it's just another one of those things too. You know, it's just they're, and that's the best case scenario, that they kind of just confuse themselves and they don't get anything done, and it kind of shows. And I think that's kind of their strategy too, is because that's why they want to bring the fight to the Senate floor, to the halls of Congress, because you know they're not going to have enough support to do any of this. So which is why I think Johnson and Thune, and the leadership here on the Congress side, will continue to let Elon Musk do what he's been doing, just to keep the attention that way and to not show their ineptitude. You know what I mean? Because whatever he's gonna do, there's already agencies there that do this, and it's their job to keep in check of that, to keep the power. So essentially, they themselves have crippled one branch of the government. That's the way you see it. That's the way I see it, right? Like they have themselves left the building, and they're like, we don't care what happens, right? Because we want to keep our job, and that's what it is, right? Like that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing. No matter which side of the coin you fall on, like
I mean, it's worse when it's, you know, elected officials like that, because it's like that's what you're in there for.
Right, you're the check. You're the stop.
It's literally written. You know, it's written in the Constitution that that's what you're supposed to do, and that's what you have the power to do, and you're not.
Right. That's Article 1. Literally Article 1. I know these people love to fucking waver on the Constitution. Just read the fucking first article. It lays out clear powers. So, I don't know. It's just a weird time. I'm sure. I feel like constantly we're gonna feel like, and I'm gonna keep saying this over and over again. I hope it doesn't get worse. You hope it doesn't get worse.
That'd be cool.
Because a friend of mine that voted for Trump and all these losers, he's in Texas, and he goes, give him time. I'm like, and I didn't argue with him, you know, all I said was like, I'm gonna keep up with this, but there's gonna come a time where we're gonna have to have a conversation. Maybe it's 6 months down the road, maybe it's a year down the road, and my hope is it's not bad times, but what you did, what you chose, was wrong. And then his response was, well, like, there you go again, always going right and wrong. And I wanted to respond. I'm like, when there's concentration camps and people are dying, and that will happen. I fear that's where we'll go, and that's what will happen. You chose the wrong side, and there is a right and wrong, right? Like it's just you can say like, oh, we're all American. Yeah, of course, but there is a right and wrong. no matter how
Yeah,
much
I
you
mean,
like to
that's
say it. You
interesting
can't say
to
there isn't.
kind of try to argue. Like, did he elaborate? Like, was the point that like maybe some things will get better while some things will get worse, and
No,
then
no,
it's
no.
not
I
just
think
as like that clear.
I think the conversation more went like, again, I basically said like, hey, I'm gonna keep up with all this, and then we're gonna have this conversation. But what I want from you is I don't want you to go, I don't want copium. Like I don't want you to sit there and go like, oh, but he's this, he's that. No, no, no. When I say, oh, look what he's doing here, we both need to acknowledge that the thing is bad, right? Like
Yeah.
when like so
Like actually see that like what's happening and
right, right,
acknowledge that
right.
it's
So
not.
like
Yeah.
the thing was his biggest reason for voting was obviously prices, like
Yeah.
things being cheaper, right? Like that's he thought his thing was like that Trump when Trump was in power things were better. I was like, okay, we had an argument over it, but whatever. Sure, let's just say that. Let's just say that's true, right? So if 6 months down the road, year down the road, that didn't happen, that doesn't happen. Things are astronomically more and more expensive.
Right.
You need to say, I did the wrong thing. I regret that the way I went. Like that needs to happen, right? And equally, if they are better, if he does good, if things are better, I will say yes. Okay, you were right. I have no issue saying that. I have no problem saying that, right? But there's like, and to your point, right? I think that's where you're going. Where like, oh, egg prices are like fucking cheap, but then you got like concentration camps happening, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like one good thing, one bad thing. Like, where do you justify the kind of line? I don't. I don't think that'll ever happen with him. I think he has no economic policy that'll make anything better. I think it's just gonna all aspects of it gonna go bad, bad. But that's just my thing. But that's just
I
the
mean,
way I
I
see
think
it.
at the same time, I don't know. We'll have to figure out some way to just like
But we
just
like the
capture these
conversation needs to be an
people.
honest
Like,
conversation, you
I
know?
mean, between you as friends, like that's one thing, but as like the greater like
Yeah.
people who didn't vote for Trump versus people who did, people who didn't vote at all versus people who voted for Kamala, all that sort of stuff. Like we can't. I mean, I agree to a sense with kind of the rhetoric that like this side of the political spectrum is just off-putting for a lot of people. Like I do understand that just because of the way we talk, we come off judgy, that sort of thing. I mean, I don't think that being like, all right, say you're wrong, if I'm
Yeah.
gonna find out, like, all that's gonna like really be helpful.
No,
If we get another election.
and I know that's not really what I'm looking for either, but I just need to like realize like, hey, like sometimes I think the point is like sometimes you got to look at like, okay, your personal beliefs are great and you're more than welcome to have them, but there's a bigger picture at play here, right? Like just because you wanted cheaper eggs, you condemned a whole population of people. You know what I mean? Like okay, let's just let's balance these things out a little bit.
Oh, that's very astute.
It's not admitting you're wrong to others. It's admitting you're wrong to yourself. It's not even like it's not. I think the wording maybe, and I'm at fault here too. I feel I think wording like, oh, admitting that you're wrong, that you made a mistake. I kind of see where you're going with it. You know what I mean? I do agree with where you're going with it, Prince. And it's just um, like you need to have some sort of personal accountability, and like that's where the real changes happen, right? Like you need to go like, oh yeah, okay, that was a bad mistake. I need to really wake up and see.
I mean, hoping that some people, that a decent amount, I guess, of people who see things like, migrants going to Guantanamo Bay, like hopefully they see things that extreme and they kind of take, have a reckoning with themselves and say like, well,
maybe we shouldn't be doing
like
this.
if I actually think about myself as a member of a society, of a community, rather than just an individual, I'll acknowledge that was wrong and that was a wrong
Right.
decision.
Right. So exactly what you're saying, but but I don't really want that for my satisfaction, right? It's not about like pleasing me or like me coming out of the top, like talking about like like the liberals are the way to go. Nah, man,
You
like
were wrong. I was right.
like the conservatives are the wrong. Like no, like it's just that's not the point. The point is like it's the system that we need to recognize. Like the system pits each other and plays against each other, that the system is wrong, right? Like you need to like wake up and like, hey, look, what Nelson Mandela said, right? Like when he came out of Robben Island, when he became the president, like he didn't condemn all the white people that were working there that were they were beneficiary of the apartheid regime in South Africa, right? But they were also victims of the system. Like, how do you blame a white man born to a white family? He's automatically privileged, but it's not his fault that he's privileged, right? Like, yeah, he holds certain accountabilities for his action but the system promoted those actions, right? Like, you have to realize like we're all part of this system and we all play within this system. But you have to recognize like certain people get benefits and certain people don't.
Right.
The point is to like recognize that and then try to make that as you it'll never be equal. I'm not so naive to think like the one day like if you vote all fucking Republic, all the Republican or all fucking liberal or or Democratic, and then we're all going to be singing Kumbaya, running down the street talking about like what, you know what I mean, like waving the fucking rainbow flag everywhere. Like it's like that's not realistic. But the point is to make the inequalities and the injustices as less as possible. That's the point. And to do that, we need to recognize like we're living in a system that benefits one, and then if it benefits one, then automatically it's discouraging to the other side. That balance always happens, but you got to try to close that balance. But when you vote with your own personal beliefs in your house, one thing, but then when you walk out into the street and then you recognize that there's a bigger structures at play and that there's more other people at play, you have to kind of start to recognize like, okay, no, different plays happen at a different level, right? Like personal, you're in a public space, personal beliefs don't matter here, or don't matter as much. You have to recognize that, right? Like my personal belief is that I should be fucking rich as fuck all the fucking time, right? But like that can't happen. So that's really the point.
I mean, that's why a lot of the rollback of like the DEI and just seeing a lot of these different companies embrace it is so disappointing, because we're nowhere near a place where we need to be, but we did make progress over the last 60 years, and it's just now we just see it all walk back because some people can't do that for some reason. They can't think outside of themselves. So when other people start to get something, it's as if it's being taken from them. It's like I understand it on like a logical level, but it's just like it just doesn't, like, how can you think like that? Like against all the evidence, against all like everything around you that you see, how can you think that just because you happen to be white and you didn't get a job, it means somebody took it from you?
Yeah, that's not how it works. Like within the again, I don't know how much, and it comes down to like how much you've read up on the law of stuff, right? That is illegal to do. It's illegal for companies out there to hire people based on race, gender, sexual orientation. It's illegal. It's illegal.
But you can
right?
argue
So
that
and white is a race, so it's illegal for them to like fire you or give up your job to somebody else. It's illegal to do that.
Right.
When there's
but you can argue
race
that with
protections,
people to your blue in the face and they just don't see it that way. They
civil
see
rights.
It as like, if there's 100 jobs and for at least 10 of them you have to interview, not even like necessarily hire. You have to interview like a person of color or a woman for 10 of them. They see, instead of 100 jobs, I can only get 90 jobs, or somebody else can get 100 jobs. It's like, okay, but historically and for like still based off of all data that we have, people of color and women only have access to those 10 jobs. Like, those 10 jobs aren't being taken away from you. Like,
No.
It's like,
No.
it's just, we've had to do this because, I mean, there's the studies that show that, like, even if, like, no picture, no information on race, people, you know, like, hiring managers see Sally Smith on one and, you know, like, a stereotypical, like, black name on the other, you know, whatever, they're gonna take Sally Smith, you know? And
Yeah,
it's like,
100%.
like, it's been
Proven studies.
It's
Yes.
been proven, and yet people are still like, no, absolutely not. There's no racism. Like, nobody would do that. It's like, if given the opportunity, you might not even realize that you're doing it, but you probably do it. Because, you know, it's like, it's not always, I mean, a lot of times it's malicious, but there are some parts of it that aren't really malicious. Maybe you sat down and you just have more in common with Sally Smith because you're, you know, Becca White. I don't know, like, you know, and it just happened to be, and you don't even realize it. But that's the point of DEI. It's making you realize it and take a more second to think so that you actually are hiring the most qualified person.
That's it.
Not that, you know, it's being taken away from the most qualified person.
No. It's always,
believe it or not, the most qualified person is not always a white, straight man.
no, exactly. And if a job requires you to be bilingual, obviously, Annette, I have a leg up on you. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, if the requirement is that, then
What am
I am
gonna
more
do?
qualified.
Be like, oh, I deserve that job, and then I'm gonna go be out trying to talk to people in a language that I can't speak. Like, what? Like, what are we fighting for? Like,
Right. But that's the thing, though. They automatically, like Annette said, they automatically call diversity hires. And you're right, Prince. Like, to circle back to that, people don't think they're not qualified. They don't think they've lost, and I think the other person had to have cheated, or there was just that extra push on the fucking scale because they were minority somehow, and then the company had to hire the minority. No, the company doesn't have to hire a minority at all. There are
that's never
things.
the case.
There are things that a company has to do. It has to make sure that it's giving equal opportunity to everybody. That's a completely different thing. But as long as the company can say, "Hey, we've hired the qualified candidate for this position," they're in the clear. Like, this just is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, if we have the exact same resume for the exact same job, we've gone to the exact same school, but I'm up on one thing, I am automatically the more qualified candidate. It's just what it is. Nobody is stealing jobs out here, but it's the same thing as, like, critical race theory, right? Like, this whole DEI thing, it's like this fire, like that critical race theory. Nobody, like, on the other side, when people talk about, oh, it's all critical race theory, what is critical race theory? They have no clue. They have no clue.
I mean, they're both
It's just a talking
dog
point.
whistles, DEI,
Right,
and
it's a dog whistle.
critical race theory.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, and there will be another one, and there will be another one, and there will be another one. But that's my whole point to it, too, right? Like, and to Prince's point, it's about the personal awareness. You have to recognize the system you're in. You have to recognize these dog whistles. If you don't, then you're just going to keep falling for this over and over and over again, while your boss is going to keep fucking getting richer and you're going to keep getting poorer. And that's just what's going to happen. Anyways, anything else? You got anything else? I kind of took it out. I got nothing else to talk about. I'm sure there. I'm sure I could keep going, but.
Well, I mean, like we said, there's so much in the news cycle. We could talk about 10,000 different things. I mean, we didn't even get to everything on the list of things that we were going to talk about today. So, but I don't think we should open up a new can of worms right now.
Yeah. But the point of the whole today's stream was unconstitutional things are happening, and we need to really be aware of, because it not just only affects people here but across the globe. And
I mean, it's
there's no guardrails. They're slowly falling away.
It can be discouraging, especially I don't know if anybody in the chat is American, but I live in a red state. It can be discouraging. Sometimes I don't even want to reach out to my Congress people because it's like, I'm just like, a positive experience with that is that they're not mean to me, but it's still, again, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last time. Showing your resistance is good. I mean, a positive of all of this is that basically all of the senators are saying, or the Congress people in general are saying that they've never experienced such call volume, especially with people calling about Elon, because people are upset about this and what he's doing. So, it sucks, but if you're comfortable doing something like calling your senator or emailing, I would say still do it, because at the end of all of this, you get, in 20 years, you'll get to look at your kids or your nieces and nephews or whomever and just say, like, no, I didn't agree with it and I did what I could,
Yeah, no, it's 100%. 100% what you said.
No, actually, you spelled it perfect.
And
that never happens.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just we need to really be like careful. Like these are scary times, and I hope it changes, and I hope these people wake up, especially on the other side of the branches, the other branches, they wake up and they go like, okay, no, maybe what's happening here, because the rope can slip away very easily from you, John Kennedy, from Louisiana. It really can. The next thing you know is you're the villain.
Said,
you know what I mean?
In a month from now, when he has no job, he's gonna be like, wait, what happened?
Yeah, right. Like he's gonna wake up, he's gonna be Mitch McConnell just on the news thing, like just malfunctioning. What happened? I thought we were buddy. I thought I defended
it. And he's just gonna do
Elon
the 20-minute stare that Mitch McConnell does.
He's gonna be like, but I thought we were friends, Elon. I called you cousin of Albert Einstein. I told you that you were the smartest man on the planet. Like,
should have said reincarnation. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the second coming of fucking Elon, or Albert. The dude just I just don't know. Like, yo, how hard is it to be just normal, bro? Just be fucking normal. Like, it's not that hard. Like, I go all my day and I'm just normal. Like, I don't hate anybody. Like, I don't try to deport anybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't look at like gay people and be like, oh, you shouldn't fucking exist. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. I go about my life. I go to work.
Right, it's like the energy to devote to that.
It's the brother just wakes up and just like the hate is consuming me. It's like that fucking Spider-Man thing where he's just like trying to rip it off. Like the hate just takes him. The power of Elon. He said that to you, boy. Yeah, all in Australia, he reached out to you. Hey, listen, Australia is gonna be what, the 52nd state after Canada. It's Australia. We're gonna make our way slowly across the world. Listen, we're gonna get Greenland. Well, no, I guess Canada's 51st. Then would Greenland be a state or would it just be a U.S. territory? I think they're going for a U.S. territory. Yeah. I think they're going for a U.S. territory. Then I guess Australia will be the 52nd. We're coming for that copper. We're coming for all the kangaroos, the copper. We're coming for it. We make your subs. We're already there. There's a whole giant ass military base in Australia. The Marines are there already. We're coming for Australia. We're gonna take it all. We're gonna take it all slowly. You're gonna be a colony. Just get ready.
What a legacy that would be for Trump. I mean, Canada, Greenland, that's small.
Listen. I don't necessarily agree with. Hear me out. And I'm going a little bit red pill here.
Are you about to say we should?
Just
okay, go ahead.
Listen to me. I'm gonna go a little bit red pill here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily oppose the idea of having Greenland. Okay? I don't necessarily, as long as they're willing.
They're not.
Yes. Yes. That much is true. They're not willing.
That's a fun opinion for you to have. You
I
gotta mix it up every now and again.
But listen, I think it's strategically on a geopolitical level, it's a great place to have, because just listen to me. Once the polar ice caps melt and the pathways open and half the planet is underwater, um, there's going to be a lot of shipping routes going through there. So Greenland will be a great economic base. At the very least, we should be like really strong partners with them. Maybe don't threaten to take them over. I don't like that tactic. You know what I mean? But give them like a candy, like do the Portuguese did to Brazil. You know what I mean? Like just be like, the Spaniards try to attack them, the Portuguese fought back. Or the Spanish tried to attack Brazil. Brazilians fought back. They lost, and then the Portuguese were like, well, here's a little bit of candy, and then they were like, oh, cool, you're here for trading, and then now Brazil speaks Portuguese. Maybe we could try that tactic. Just don't go for the fucking genocide afterwards. Like that's not. I'm against that. I'm against that.
Well, it's good that you please.
I do want to make that clear, but I think we should be best friends.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I haven't seen.
Bring the. We might find oil there, and you know what happens when we do.
I mean, probably it's just
the red, white, and blue fly strong. No, I'm just saying, like, okay. All jokes aside, the Greenland thing is a little bit of weirdo peppy thing. But if Greenland agrees, I think it'll be a great addition. That's just what I'm saying. Don't go the way they're going, but it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout, guys.
Anyway.
Well. Guys,
manifest destiny. What a way to end.
Somebody's got to start doing it. Anyway, guys, thank you for coming. We'll probably end it here, but before you guys leave, it would be awesome. It would be amazing. We're trying to create a separate channel where we can have these discussions more often, and hopefully in the future we will go try to do this more often than at least once a week, but we'll see how that goes. But please go follow us on our own channel, on a separate channel aside from mine. It's called All the Factors. We are here to bring you news of the week and discuss multiple different things that are happening, and try to be as informative and unbiased as possible, but clearly we fail at that.
We're biased, but
we try to be objective.
We've been
clearly, because I'm trying to annex Greenland.
Right. We watched the clip straight from a Republican's mouth.
Yes.
I visited the Fox News website this week. That was fun.
This news doesn't come from a liberal echo chamber. And we have a ton of problems with liberals as well, because they need help.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
they do need help. They need a lot of help. They're equally as worse, I'd say.
And the Democrats introduced, or they haven't introduced it yet, but they talked about, what are they calling it? Like Taxpayer Data Protection Act. Like they're going to put that into... they're going to start proposing that soon in response to Elon's accessing the federal database of all like the payment information. So that might be something to watch over the next week. So maybe we can say something positive about Democrats next week.
Okay. Rare, but okay. So yeah, please follow us on All the Factors on Twitch and YouTube. It's all one word, All the Factors. Please, we are trying to also get approved to be able to live stream directly onto YouTube as well. We would really appreciate it. We're trying to make something happen here. Bisky, what's going on, man? You are a little bit late. We apologize. We are ending the weekly stream, but please, if you want to stay up to date with us, we will be back here soon. Follow us on all the factors. It's in chat. I'll put it in there again. No, don't worry about it, man. We'll we do this regularly. So follow us on
and
all
our
the
episodes
factors.
are on YouTube.
And we are also on YouTube, so you can hear everything we've talked about, discussed on YouTube, all the factors. Please join us. Thank you. Follow and stay up to date with us. We hope to see you next Thursday. We would love to talk to you. But time constraints and everything. So please come talk to us next week. Follow us, and then we will see you soon. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great weekend, a great night. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.